which we try to live a highly competitive economic life in a planet that's too small to permit it. All these things have to be taken into consideration. These are the problems of leadership. These are the things our educators should be working with. These are the things that our leaders and our governors and our industrial potentates ought to be concerned about. We cannot get away from misfortune until we stop causing it. And as so long as we cause chaos, we're going to have narcotics addiction. There is no way of avoiding it, because we have taken life and we have taken away from it those integrities and examples which are necessary to keep people honest. We are no longer in a condition to offer a human being a natural human opportunity to be a useful part of society. We are teaching him more and more not to do the things which would make him a well-adjusted citizen. We are keeping him under the delusion that he is part of something which probably will fall apart, because no one seems to believe it'll be otherwise, but that if it falls apart, he must be prepared to fall with it, because there are no remedies. This is absolute foolishness. There has never been a time when the remedies have not been available. And when these values are established, we will find that most people want to enjoy good health, happiness, and peace of mind. Actually, if we could watch psychologically or metaphysically the effects of various materials on the etheric and vital bodies, we would have something that's very close to the Paracelsian theory of medicine. We are told by Paracelsus and others of that period that food that we eat, we do not actually receive nourishment from the food per se. We receive nourishment from a vital element, invisible, that is present in all food. It is a universal life force that we try to capture, and we try to transmute food into energy, which we do only because we are releasing the energy that is in the food. Now, energies in foods differ. Some foods have more of one kind of energy, more of another, and body chemistry demands a balanced ration of these different food factors. And the great proof of alchemy is not the wisdom of the ancients, but the function of our own digestive system. We are transforming base metals into living principles every day of our lives. As it is with food, so it is with most other things we have. The education we get is a form of nutrition. It is not the education per se, but the energy of thought and initiative which it releases in us that is important. Here is where the alchemy takes place. Facts become truth by alchemy. The alchemy of insight, understanding, and capacity. The same is true in our emotional life. Our affections are not physically, actually, the cause of happiness. It is the higher vibrations or octaves of our feelings that become nutritional to enrich our lives, to enrich our relationships, and to become the basis of proper marital happiness. The same way with all of our thoughts and minds. It is the transmutation by an alchemy of understanding that lifts all things from a standpoint of dead fact to living truth. And this chemistry is going on constantly inside of ourselves. And it is this that does the good thing for us. But the wrong diet makes us sick. The wrong emotions make us unhappy. The wrong thoughts make us miserable. Therefore, if the food is wrong, it is not any good to us. And today, humanity, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and religiously, is largely on a diet of junk food. It is not just the physical junk food. It is the fact that these junk foods destroy or fail to nourish the invisible energy fields with which they are involved. Having become sick with junk food, which in this case can be world propaganda, reports and rumors of war and disturbance, we do what everyone does who is sick. We try to combat the difficulty by a trip to the doctor. The doctor tells us that we need a little more vitamin, that we've got to cut down on this, that our cholesterol is too high, that our blood pressure is too high, that we are not getting enough calcium, that we're not getting enough this, that, and the other thing, and we go into a great nutritional routine. Perhaps it helps. It probably does. But let us also realize that psychologically we cannot really depend upon drugs to take care of things that belong to the invisible levels of character. We are all suffering from the junk food of world as it is today. The news is junk. All these things are destructive. So we go now and we try to get something like cocaine or heroin or marijuana so that we won't notice the junk food, that we won't have to improve our diet because we don't really want to do that. But we do want to get rid of the unpleasant symptoms that have come from junk thought, junk emotion, junk conduct. Therefore, we try to get some kind of a panacea by means of which we will accomplish the most that can be accomplished, namely, that ultimately we will reach a point where we won't worry at all because there will be nothing to worry with. That will then be the problem of returning to a subhuman state and drifting into the inevitable end. This type of thing we don't have to do. It's perfectly possible for us to be rather intelligent creatures in one way or another if we really try hard. It's just a case of recognizing that all stimulants, alcohol, any other stimulant, is simply a substitute, and a poor one, for the stimulation of our own intelligence, for our own integrity, for our own wisdom and understanding and our own cheerful, useful activity in life. An enthusiastic person with a job, or one who is preparing for a job he likes, who is succeeding in the daily experiences of life, has no need for involvement in any form of narcotics or alcohol. He does not need to take a chance of any form of sickness arising from a bad habit. And all habits that seek to prevent the individual from thinking are bad habits, because he is here to think. The human being, as the Hindu says, is the embodiment of manas, the mental principle. It is the purpose of the individual to perfect the functions of the intellect, to cause the intellect to ascend to a more rarefied atmosphere and become the gateway leading into the spiritual world. It is through the mind that the individual can ascend to union with his own soul, with the best part of himself. And when he diseases this by an effort to avoid or evade growth, if he tries desperately not to be better, he can succeed in that too, but the cost is very high. It is much better for the person to realize that by keeping the channels of the nervous system, particularly the autonomic nervous system, and the function of the ductless glands, normal, constructive, and helpful, he will have the strength and resource to meet practically every problem of life. And any individual who doesn't want to grow, isn't willing to do a little worrying, and will not devote some time to self-improvement and to the service of others, such an individual is not entitled to any of the better things of life. But he doesn't have to react to the worst things in life. He may remain unadjusted to life. But now the temptation is to hide his inabilities from himself, to avoid contemplating his own mistakes. And then comes the narcotic addiction, and the person is in really serious condition.